Welcome to your Destination Reader lesson today. We've been reading the book Varjak Paw by S.F. Saeed, and this is our 8th lesson of 25 lessons. I want you to make sure you've got a copy of the story, a strategy prompt sheet, a pen or a pencil, and a piece of paper or your home learning book. Get those things together, then press play and continue the lesson. Press pause now. Okay, so this lesson, just like all our other lessons, any keywords for you will be written in red. These are important words I want you to really think about. Any questions for you will be in blue, and your writing time will be in green. You'll also have these two symbols, and this means I want you to say your answer out loud before writing it down. Varjak Paw by S.F. Saeed. And let's say it together. This cat must learn to fight. Okay, so we're going to continue with strategy number 3. Inference. My turn, inference, your turn. My turn, inference, your turn. And what does inference mean, and why do good readers make inferences? I want you to have a little think about those questions, say your answer out loud, and then write it down on a piece of paper or in your home learning book. Do that now. Press pause. Okay, fantastic. So, inference means that you're reading between the lines. And what this means is that the author doesn't tell us everything in their writing. They leave little clues for you on the way. And we're looking for those clues, just like a detective would, in the text to help us to understand it even more. And authors, they sometimes leave key information out so that we have to keep reading and find out more. And S.F. Saeed has done a great job in Varjak Paw, making us want to keep reading and not giving us all the key information we need to know. So we left on a bit of a cliffhanger yesterday, didn't we? And we want to read and know a bit more. Okay, so we have Ingrid here. Say, hi, Ingrid. And Ingrid is an inferrer. And look at her, she has her magnifying glass. She's ready, like a detective, to look for clues in the text. Okay, what's our inference calculation we have that Ingrid is thinking about? What plus what equals an inference? I want you to say it out loud. Do that now. Okay, and so you should have all shouted out, text clues plus their schema equals an inference. Well done if you knew that was what Ingrid the inferrer was thinking. And so good readers like Ingrid and like us, good readers use clues and background knowledge, which is your schema, to make an inference. And when authors of books don't tell you everything about the characters and events, good readers, they infer what is happening. Our vocabulary for today's lesson. My turn, gravelly, your turn. My turn, gravelly, your turn. So gravelly, when we're talking about it being gravelly, about your voice being gravelly, it means that it is deep and rough sounding. It's gravelly. It's a gravelly voice. My turn, soggy, your turn. My turn, soggy, your turn. If something is soggy, it's wet and it's soft. I don't know if you've ever dunked a biscuit into a cup of tea or a hot chocolate and it comes out all soggy. It's all wet and soft. It's soggy. My turn, vanishing, your turn. My turn, vanishing, your turn. So if something has vanished, if it is vanishing, it disappears suddenly, completely. It's gone. Vanishing, vanish is the root word of vanishing. Okay, so we're going to keep doing 1 and 2 mark answers in our recording. We got 1 mark questions, my turn. 1 mark questions need a short, snappy answer. Your turn. My turn. 1 mark questions need a short, snappy answer. Your turn. Okay, great. And we've got 2 mark questions need a PE answer. Your turn. My turn. 2 mark questions need a PE answer. Your turn. Okay, and the P stands for point. It's your main idea you want to write about. And E stands for evidence. How are you going to back up your point? How are you going to justify your point with evidence or examples? Okay, so let's begin reading. And if you can remember what we've just finished reading in chapter 7, Varjak is outside, and at the beginning he thinks, this is amazing, I'm free, I don't have to have clean paws, I can go to the toilet under a tree, not on a litter tray, this is amazing. And then the weather turns and there's a storm, and he starts to think, maybe this isn't such a great place for Mesopotamian purebreds after all. And he's looking for shelter. And he just saw some shelter in the park that he was at, and a door swung open, and that's exactly where we stopped. So it's a bit of a cliffhanger. We want to know what's going to happen. I want you to get your books open to page 70, chapter 8. And we can have a look there. There's a tiny little hut, the picture, and it's got lots of rain coming down that's in the storm. It helps us to really visualize what the hut might have looked like. I'm going to read, and I want you to follow along just like we do at school. We're going to stop at points to ask questions. It was dark as midnight in the hut. It felt close and damp, but at least inside was drier than outside. Varjak was safe at last. He relaxed, and then a low growl ripped through the air. The door slammed shut behind him. "Don't move a muscle," said a gravelly voice. "You're surrounded." Varjak's claws slid out, ready to fight. "Put those claws away," commanded the voice. Varjak opened his eyes. It was another cat. She had spiky black and white fur and mustard-coloured eyes. She looked about the same age as him, younger than Jasmine or Julius, but harder, as if she'd seen too much of the world already. "I'm not looking for a fight," she said, "but if you don't put those claws away, I'll rip you to shreds." Something in her gravelly voice left Varjak in no doubt that she meant it. "I'm not looking for a fight either," he said, and put away his claws. The rain thudded on the roof of the hut like a nervous heartbeat. "Okay," she said, "this is my hut, my shelter. Everyone knows that. What are you doing here?" Varjak glanced at the door. "It's raining." And this was the only shelter I could find." "Can't you see it's taken?" she growled. Isn't it big enough for both of us?" "There's only room for one." And we're going to stop right there. Okay, and so I've asked a question. Why do you think the author withholds the name of the black and white cat from us? We've met a cat, but we don't know the cat's name yet. Why do you think the author hasn't told us the name of the black and white cat? This is a 2-mark question. I want you to listen whilst I think aloud. Well, I think the author withholds or keeps the name from the black and white cat from us because this helps us to imagine the situation as if we were Varjak. Varjak doesn't know the cat's name, nor do we, so we can really imagine we're Varjak. And I think this because the cat is unknown to Varjak and because the author doesn't introduce her to the reader, it keeps the cat a mystery to us too. So this is a real mystery who this cat is. Okay, I'm going to read and you will follow along and we're going to stop at points to ask questions. We're on page 71, partway down. That certainly wasn't true, but Varjak didn't think she'd appreciate. That certainly wasn't true, but Varjak didn't think she'd appreciate him saying it. He stared silently at the soggy timber floor. A puddle had already formed around him. He couldn't face going out again. Besides, she was the only cat he'd met since leaving home. She was nothing like a Mesopotamian blue. She wasn't like the gentleman's cats either. There was nothing strange or scary about her. Though you wouldn't want her for an enemy. Varjak tried to smile through the dark at her. She glared back. "What's your name?" she said gruffly. "I haven't seen you around here before." "It's Varjak Paw." "Varjak Paw?" she said. "Varjak Paw? What kind of name is that?" "What was wrong with his name?" "What's yours?" "None of your business. Whose gang are you with? Who's your boss? Are you running away from the vanishings?" Varjak hesitated. What did all these questions mean? He didn't know, but he had to say something. He blurted out the first thing that came to his mind, something he didn't even believe himself. "I'm a purebred Mesopotamian blue." "A what?" "A Mesopotamian blue. We're very rare, special cats." "Special?" she spluttered. "I don't care how purebred you are or where you think you're from. The only thing that counts is what you do." And we're going to stop there because I've got a question for you. Why does the black and white cat splutter when she says special? And this is a 1-mark question. Why does she splutter when she says special? What does that mean about what she might be thinking? Okay, it's a 1-mark question. It's a short, snappy answer. Say your answer out loud, then write it down on your piece of paper or your home learning book. Do that now. Press pause. Okay, so why does the black and white cat splutter when she says special? And I said, I think the black and white cat splutters because, and here's my answer, she doesn't think or believe that Varjak is a special cat. She doesn't believe that Varjak is. She thinks it's really funny, a bit of a joke. And so that's why I think she splutters. Okay, let's carry on. Reading together. A blast of thunder rattled the hut. Varjak frowned. He'd never heard anyone talk like that before. "What kind of cat are you?" he asked. "I'm asking the questions, special cat," she said, she sounded disgusted. "Now tell me what you really do. Are you one of Ginger's gang, or are you with Sally Bones?" "Keep talking, that was the best thing." "I told you, I'm a Mesopotamian blue. We live on the hill." She sighed and tapped her claws on the floor. "Everyone knows there's no food up there. Even the gangs don't bother with it. Come on, tell the truth. You must be with a gang, or a little cat like you would be starving by now." Her words sent a shiver down Varjak's spine. How could she not know about the Contessa's house? This world outside and the world he came from seemed completely cut off from one another. "Listen," she said, "if you're so high and mighty, how come you're out in the park in a storm?" "I'm outside because I need to talk to a dog," he said. She stared at him as if she didn't understand. "Dogs are huge, noisy monsters," he explained. "I know what a dog is," she snapped. Then maybe she could help. "Do you know how to talk to them?" She scowled, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "I know it sounds strange," said Varjak, "but I've got to do it to save my family. They're in a lot of danger." The black and white cat laughed out loud. "He thinks he can talk to a dog." Even her laugh sounded like the crunch of gravel. And we're going to stop there because I've got a question. I want to know, the black and white cat laughs and says, he thinks he can talk to dogs. Why does she think this is funny? Just a really short answer that we need here. It's a 1-mark question. Have a think. The black and white cat laughs and says he thinks he can talk to dogs. Why does she think this is funny? You need to use your background knowledge here, your knowledge about cats and dogs. Have a little think, say your answer out loud, then write your answer down on a piece of paper or in your home learning book. Do that now, press pause. Okay, and here's what I've said. I said, I think the black and white cat thinks this is funny because, and here's my answer. She knows that dogs and cats don't get on and wouldn't talk to each other. She knows this already. She knows about dogs and cats, and that's why she thinks it's funny. Is that similar to what you put? Okay, right. Let's keep reading. We're right down the bottom of page 73. Varjak scratched an itch under his collar. It felt uncomfortable. What's that you're scratching? She said. My collar. Collar? A strange expression crossed her face, and then she seemed to relax. Isn't that what pets wear? Varjak peered at her own neck. She wore no collar. Yes, now it makes sense, she said. You're just a pet cat who got lost in the storm, aren't you? You're not in a gang. You don't know about the vanishings. You don't know anything about this city at all, do you? Varjak almost denied it. Then he remembered his dream. Open mind, the first skill. Only when you admit you know nothing can you truly know anything. All I know is I need your help, he said quietly. I need a place to stay until the storm's over, and then I've got to find a dog. She looked into his eyes for a long time. The rain beat down relentless. All right, pet cat, she said at last. You can stay just till the rain stops and then go. Understand? Varjak smiled. Thanks. Just don't talk to me about dogs, that's all, she muttered. They sat together in the darkness. Varjak was bursting with questions. Were there many other cats outside? What were these gangs and vanishings she kept talking about? And how exactly did you talk to a dog? Okay, we're going to stop there because the text says Varjak was bursting with questions. What does this statement or sentence tell you about the type of cat that Varjak is? He's bursting with questions. So what does that tell us about Varjak as a character? If he's bursting with questions, I want you to have a little think. Say your answer out loud, then write it down. This is a 1-mark question, so a short, snappy answer. What does the sentence tell you about the type of cat Varjak is? Do this now. Press pause. Okay. And so I've said that this sentence tells me that Varjak is a very curious cat. He's curious. He wants to know more. He's inquisitive. He asks lots of questions. He wants to know more about what is going on. That's the kind of cat that Varjak is. Okay. We're going to read to the end of this chapter, and then we're going to read the next chapter too. There were so many new things to understand, but the black and white cat was curled up into a spiky ball. Any more words would breach the invisible barrier she'd made between them. The rain went on. Varjak shivered. He was cold and tired. His eyelids drooped. He tried to force them open, but they kept closing by themselves. It would be madness to fall asleep in a strange place with a strange cat, but he couldn't help it. He slept in his corner of the hut, still shivering, as the rain, water, and slime dripped from his muddy fur. And then, just so that we make sure that we get through all of the book in our 25 lessons, this chapter is going to be read to you. You can follow along, or you can make notes of any questions that you have, or you could just relax and listen to the story. It's up to you. You make the choice. Here we go. Varjak dreamed. So he's dreaming again. Last time he dreamed, he met Jalal. So I wonder if when he's dreaming again, he's going to meet Jalal again. Let's see. That certainly looks like Varjak and Jalal in that picture. Varjak dreamed. He dreamed he was back in Mesopotamia. Zigzag trees swayed in the warm night breeze. The sky was bright with stars. The air smelled like cinnamon and it tasted of ripe dates. Jalal walked beside him. "Can you teach me how to talk to dogs, Jalal?" "What kind of trees are these?" said the old cat abruptly. "Trees? All around us there are trees. Perhaps you have noticed." "The zigzag trees," Varjak nodded. "So, what kind of trees are they, Varjak Paw?" Varjak bit his tongue. Jalal wasn't talking about dogs, and Varjak had no idea about the trees. He didn't want to disappoint his ancestor. What else could he do? "I don't know," he admitted. Jalal stopped walking and placed his paws squarely on the earth. "Awareness," he said, "the second skill. If you are to survive in the world, you must be aware of everything in it. Whether you need to find food, fight an enemy, or even talk to a dog. Before you do anything, you must know what you are dealing with. Assume nothing. Be sure of the facts. Open your senses. Spread them wide like a net. Observe the world, what it looks like, what it sounds like, even what it tastes like." "The air tastes of dates," suggested Varjak. "It does indeed. That is because these trees are date palms. See the zigzag patterns on the trunk. That is how to recognize a date palm tree." Jalal pointed out the other trees on the riverbank. He gave names to the trees and taught Varjak how to recognize them by the patterns on their trunks and the scents of their fruits. Varjak stored the knowledge carefully in his mind, and they stood under the palms practicing awareness for a timeless time. "Again," Jalal said. He was a stern teacher. "Again, and then at last, enough." "I never knew there was so much in the world," said Varjak. "That is because until now you have used only a small part of your potential. The rest is locked within you. You are capable of anything, my son, anything at all. Each sense is like a fine web that goes out into the world. Your whiskers can detect the slightest change in the air, the smallest movements. Your nose can scent fear. Once developed, your awareness can even feel danger and tell you when you are being watched." Jalal's ears suddenly pricked up. He dropped into a low crouch. "Listen. Can you hear it?" Varjak listened to the peaceful Mesopotamian night. He could hear nothing unusual. "Pay attention," said Jalal. "Near the top of the range, there is a scratching, squeaking, chirping noise. It comes from the edge of the water. Can you hear it?" Varjak closed his eyes and concentrated. There it was, just as Jalal said. "I hear it, but what is it?" "Breakfast," said Jalal. And if we have a look at the picture, there's an insect there that, of course, Varjak could get and eat for himself. Okay, so we're going to stop there, and you probably have a few questions that you're thinking about. Make a note of these questions and also make a prediction about what's going to happen next. Okay, so ask a question about what has happened so far in the story, and if you want to, you could also write a little prediction about what will happen next. Tomorrow we're going to continue Varjak Paw, and we're going to carry on making inferences. Well done for joining in today's lesson.